I saw someone bouncing in the back with a Santa hat, it looked like. Bouncing over there in the back. Yeah, you.
Hello Kitty hat.
Yeah, Kitty Santa hat. Yeah,
Hello Kitty.
Oh, it is Hello Kitty, I'm sorry. I thought
Okay, hi. This is actually a question from my friend. It's specifically for Ginny. I'm sorry. So she asked, what was your favorite part about being Ginny and why?
Oh, good question. I think, honestly, my favorite part was being a Weasley. So sit back down. I just loved, not only did I have like this Hogwarts family and the Gryffindor family, but we also had like an actual little cute family, and I feel like all of the scenes we did, it just felt like extra special that we also had all these scenes in the boroughs. A bit like, I think Oliver was saying earlier, like they were really fun doing those scenes that were like outside Hogwarts and outside those places, and they were just like regular day life. And my first ever scene as Ginny, I was so nervous on platform 93 quarters, and Julie Walters, who played our mum, Mrs. Weasley, like really helped me to feel like safe and like welcome and looked after. So I just always feel like that's my fondest memory when I think back, just that kind of little dynamic that we were able to have. And I feel like they're the best best wizarding family, just for their morals and what they stand for. I think they're pretty good. Thanks!
absolutely. How about right there in the blue jacket? Yeah, yes.
Okay, hi. If you think of like fantasy movies or like Harry Potter or Narnia, can you tell me your favorite one?
Deathly Hallows Part 1.
I actually just rewatched all the Hunger Games because I haven't seen the new one yet. I haven't seen the new one, but I was doing it to do that. But then I realized it's actually quite difficult going to the movies with an 11-week-old baby, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to wait now, maybe. But I just rewatched them, and I feel like they really hold up. Like I still really love them, so I love that. I'm a big like fantasy and sci-fi lover, so it's a genre that outside of Harry Potter I really love.
How about in the Mario raccoon hat?
Hi. This is a question for my mom. This is for the twins. What is the best joke that you have done in the Harry Potter film series and in real life?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to talk about ones in real life. But I think jokes that Fred and George did, again, like we were talking earlier, it would have been good to get certain things from the books more into it. But that being said, I think it wasn't necessarily a joke, but I think everyone wishes they could have had, when they're doing their exams, someone fly in and set up a firework dragon-off to meet the teacher. That would have been pretty cool. So when Fred and George did that, was quite awesome.
One thing that we did actually whilst we were filming was we learned that everyone's trailer had the same model of TV, so you could use your remote in someone else's trailer. So I went to a certain actor's trailer and sat down and watched TV with him, and it was basically you just have it in by your side, and every time he would, I don't know, scratch his head, the volume would go up. Or if he then blinked or something, I'd change the channel. And you could see him kind of... And basically kept us going for ages. And he's like, can you see this? Look what I can do. Anyway, fast forward now. Did you know there's an app which you can download for any mobile phone, and you can control any TV which has Wi-Fi? Yeah.
I do that to my wife all the time.
So you can also do this in restaurants or bars.
Yeah, but a good one to do in restaurants though is to get random photos on your phone and change the screen behind the bar. That's always a good one. It's even better if you take a photo of someone at the bar and put them on there.
Do you really need your lawyer involved?
And then you run it mad.
I know the camera right there in the front.
So I know it may feel like it's been a while since the last movie happened, but I
I feel like it really hasn't. So how do you guys feel about the announcement that they are remaking the series into a television series?
I mean, as long as if they have as much fun, if it was involved in that as much fun as we did, then good luck to them. You know, like we had such a great time, and yeah, we were very lucky. So if they have as much fun, then yeah, good luck to them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being just the audience. I feel like we were always so involved in it. It'll be fun to just be the people watching it. But I must say, I am holding out for like a prequel, to be honest. I want the story. Like, that's why I love the Order of the Phoenix. I love all the auras and that. Like, I want the story of Sirius Black and. So we'll all wait for that because I hope it's coming.
Right there with you. In the black shirt in the middle, in the back. Yep, you, yeah. Okay. Then you're, yeah.
So the question is pretty odd, but if your characters were cats, and let's say Fred didn't die, how many
Sorry for the spoiler.
how many lives would they have left? Because I'm sure the twins will be pretty chaotic. So.
Quite like maybe 2 lives left. I think I'd have all 7 lives left. How many
One,
lives?
probably.
1 left.
Yeah.
I think Fred and George would be more like that new Puss in Boots film. Be like that, the last one.
I feel like I have 4 cats, and one of my cats is like definitely. He's only 4, and I think he's already on like his last life. He's just a very risky cat. Like he went missing for 2 months and survived and came back. So I don't know. But I think Ginny maybe would like have lost 1 life. I feel like she maybe had a bit of like fun flair in her youth, but now she's like pretty sensible person. But that's a very unusual question. So thank you.
How about in the Loki outfit?
Have you ever taken anything from the set? And if you have, what was it?
If anyone from Warner Brothers is here, no, we did not.
Just hypothetical answers.
If you're hypothetically, yes, I would have taken. Like in my house, the only thing Harry Potter related in general is I've got a nosebleed nougat, and if you know what it is, you know what it is. Otherwise, it's just a random green and purple thing on the side of my shelf. But yeah, that's my one thing from Harry Potter. I think we all wanted the wands, didn't we? And they were very strict on us leaving with them. Although I did break 3 of them, so that's probably why I wasn't allowed to take it back.
I feel like that's rude. You should have your wands. That's sad.
Yeah, no, they were really hot on those. I've got a bag from Weezer's Wisdom Wheezes, purely because it was the easiest thing I could slip into my blazer and get straight off set before anyone noticed. And then next to that, on my wall, I've got the last prosthetic earpiece that I had to wear in the last film, which freaks people out who have no idea what's going on. Because normally, like at the end of the day, you would just we'd have the prosthetic piece taken off, and it would normally just go in the bin, or I'd put it on someone's car in the car park, or something like that. So the last one is quite special.
Yeah, but you went to the football with him.
Oh yeah. So we were filming, and the football team that Donald Gleason and I both support were playing in London, and we were like, if we leave now, we could make kickoff, which meant that as long as we didn't get all the prosthetics off, because Donald had like his face like he'd been clawed by a wolf there, so we were like, yeah, okay, let's do that. So we got dropped off at Baker Street Station, jumped on the underground, and we stood on the central line in rush hour traffic, and there's like no one around us. We're just like, this is really nice. And we get to the game, and then realise when we're in the seats, there's like 2 people just leaving space in between us. And I thought, oh my God, I've kept my ear on it. We look like a pair of absolute nutters who were just obviously there for a bit of a scrap. And then unfortunately the team lost by a last minute goal, so my ear ended up going thrown on the field. So whether the groundsman found that at the end of the day, I don't know.
How about right there? Yeah, you. Yeah. Huh?
to be honest, it kind of depended on what scene was being shot on the day in terms of like character. I mean, one thing I always did before we went to set was almost like take a really big smile, because that's kind of what they would do. And then I remember when we were filming the scene we were talking earlier about with the in the fifth film when Fred and George flying on the broomsticks, was just listening to lots of like anti-establishment music, like Rage Against the Machine and things like that. So it was funny when we saw the edit, going back to the music, seeing the score that David Yates put on it, I was like, wow, I never thought you could do that style. Because to me it was like bottom track and things like that being played over the top. So yeah, using that type of thing to get into it, like for the character anyway.
Yeah, when we started filming, I was a very shy kid, like very introverted, and playing a character that's very not. I kind of had to force myself to be an outgoing person and you know, kind of crave the attention as opposed to the other way around. And in doing so, it kind of changed me as a person that I was into being very much more outgoing and what would be the term, like a half glass full kind of mentality. So definitely playing the character like Fred rubbed off on me on that regard, and getting into character after like the third movie really wasn't hard. Especially when, if we were doing pranks, for example, we could just get away with it and say we're in character and we're method acting and this is what needs to be done. So that was a great excuse.
Oh yeah, it's a good question. I feel like there was a lot of like mirroring of like my own growth, like as a person with Ginny too. Like similar, like I was definitely like very shy, as is Ginny. I wasn't shy.
No way! No way! Right, we were filming the second film. Bonnie we had like these walkie-talkies, what we used to be able to talk to each other around the studios with. Bonnie told a load of workmen on the work site opposite us that they could go home early for the day. The next
I
thing
realised we could
foreman
speak
on
to
there.
this whole construction site, and I told everyone to go home. Just letting people off, you know. Well, I thought I was shy. Maybe I became more shy. I don't know. But I think for all of us, like we spent so much time with these characters. It was always interesting where like the lines blurred between ourselves and the character, because we also were going through like the biggest years of your life, like going through puberty and becoming a teenager, like all these things we were doing as well. So it was kind of like an odd experience to have like this double layered, like growing into ourselves and our characters. So I feel for me, I found when like we finished the film, it was this kind of like, in a really lovely way, like a kind of untying myself from her and realizing like the things that I had taken on because I admired Ginny, and then some things maybe of myself inevitably I put into her. So it was fun and maybe confusing at times to be like becoming myself and playing a character and spending so much time with that character. But for me, I was so grateful that Ginny really had a character arc. Like she went somewhere from the beginning to the end. So I was grateful that I had something to do with her, like with the narrative.
And
What was the most difficult scene to film?
I honestly remember being really sad when Dumbledore dies. When anyone died, it was like the worst day ever. Especially towards the battle. That's what I was gonna, in the Battle of Hogwarts, it was like, who's going today? There was like so many sad stories. And then, yeah, I feel like they were the most challenging. Because like, yeah, it's horrible to have to perform that, and also then you're losing that actor maybe if it was chronologically shot.
So are you saying Dumbledore was harder to film than Fred dying?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't at the site of the death in the scene, so I had to internalize that loss. I didn't get to perform it.
It was really easy for me. The hardest scene I remember the whole shoot was Quidditch in the third movie, because it was set in the rain. And so Quidditch wasn't the most comfortable thing to film anyway, and you're up on a broomstick. I don't know if you guys have seen the Davy Holmes documentary that came out recently. Really, really good story. When Davy talks about how and Dan talks about being on a broom for so long wasn't the most comfortable thing, like it really wasn't. Add in that you're in the rain, so you've got big gusts of wind coming at you, and right before they yell action, you're just covered in water, and you just mope, you're absolutely really wet. and you're up there for a couple of hours. It seemed like a couple of hours anyway, flying around. That was quite a challenging day whilst filming, and they seemed to really enjoy throwing the water on. I swear it got colder as well.
I think the 7 Harrys scene was really tricky. I mean, it was more tricky for Dan, to be fair, because he had to copy us, but we had to try and show him how we would do it, which really made you self-analyse what you do. And I realised that I walk like Shaggy do. It's just terrible. I do, yeah, honestly.
Still to this day.
To this day, I walk like my knees really bent, and I've never realised that before.
So there's
Everyone's
walking like
analysing,
Shaggy or getting water constantly tossed on you. I feel like water, maybe a little worse.
Yeah, that was terrible as well.
So is that a Weasley jumper? Yeah. To the Weasley jumper.
Hi. You were all so young getting into these films, and it's more than just a commitment of one film, but it's a commitment of 8 films, and now, you know, theme park and a game, and now you're here. I'm just curious if going back to your younger self before this experience exploded, if you had any advice for yourself or any warnings or things you would want them to savor more as you grew up in this experience.
Ooh, that's a good question. I probably wouldn't give too much advice, because I think what was so great about kind of partaking in the series, becoming an actor, is the not knowing, the mystery of it. I think makes you more sort of like just open to the possibilities of whatever unfolds. I feel like I wouldn't really tell myself anything even in my own life. I feel like the best is just trusting that it's going to unfold as it does. But I guess the only thing which you kind of mentioned is just to make maybe like it became normal, or however you want to kind of describe it for us, because it was our like reality in our life, but it was so abnormal and so amazing that maybe just to like stop more and just take it all in and realize how unique it was. That would be the only advice, but I wouldn't like forewarn myself in any way. I think just to let it like, I would do it all again the exact same way.
Either you.
I think mine would be, the only thing that I would say to my younger self is ask more questions as to why do you do that? Why, like, not just like the actors, but also the crew and stuff, because the older actors in the cast were great in helping us out and suggesting, and like if you went to it was easy to ask them because you're working with them all the time, but yeah, I think just interact. And that's the other thing as well, which I was saying in Davey Holmes' documentary, you can see the relationship between the cast and the crew, because you're with them just as much as you are the cast. So I think that would be another thing I wish I said to her in the first film. Ask, what does that person do? Why did they do that? And then, you know, keep on with it.
All right, well, unfortunately, I think that's all the time that we have, so please give another round of applause for James, Oliver,
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for coming and making space so often here. And see you around and have a great weekend. Thanks.